Welcome to the She Would Know podcast,
where curiosity meets expertise. Welcome to another episode of the She Would Know podcast. I'm Shayna.
And I'm Chelsea. And here in Arizona where we're at, it's a jillion degrees right now.
Yeah, it's really hot.
My car said 116. Probably not actually that hot. My car was just hot. It was outside, but...
Well, but it's a dry heat.
Yeah, a dry heat that just sucks everything out of you.
Well, it doesn't help that you're 12 years pregnant.
Yes, it does feel like 12 years pregnant. That's perfectly accurate.
Your due date is 4 days away.
I know. I'm so excited.
I literally can't believe that we're recording 4 days before your due date.
I know. I feel like I really shouldn't be doing anything, but I am just such a busybody. I can't just not do anything.
That's true.
But I did lay in bed for like 3 hours today.
Oh,
so.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, today I'm super excited. We're going to be interviewing Elizabeth Van Doren about simplifying our lives. You are a minimalist, a self-proclaimed minimalist.
I am.
You are?
I used to be better at it than I am now, but...
What changed?
I think just being pregnant.
Oh, being pregnant, yeah.
I'm not as good at the like one in, one out, getting stuff, throwing stuff away.
Have you always been that way?
I was thinking about this last night, actually, when I was taking a shower. I got into minimalism when my mental health was really bad.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if it was just like I needed something to control, and it's a lot easier to control your stuff than like snap yourself out of depression or something. And just being in college in tiny apartments, you don't really have a lot of room for stuff anyways. And yeah, I just felt a lot more peaceful when I had less crap to manage.
Yeah. I would have called myself a minimalist up until about 4 years ago. Because, I was in school.
You had your first kid.
Crazy. Yeah, I mean, I lived so many different places. All of my stuff, I either lived out of 2 suitcases, like when I lived in Hawaii, because I had to travel back and forth with whatever I could carry, or whatever could fit in the trunk of my car. If I couldn't fit my stuff in my car, I just got rid of it. Until, I had a kid and got a house. And now I'm like, I'm not a hoarder, but I am a holder onto things person.
Yeah. And I've noticed that too with having a house. It's like you just fill whatever storage you have.
Yeah.
Like I wish we have like one closet in our house that's not like a clothes closet, you know? And I keep wishing we had more closets, but then I'm like, no, if I had another closet, I would fill it with stuff.
Yep. For me, I don't like spending money on things multiple times. So if it's something that I think I might use down the road, I just hold on to it because I do have a little bit of a scarcity mindset. And I'm afraid that if I get rid of something, I won't be able to afford to replace it, even though I know at this point I can. But
yeah,
it's just, I like knowing that I have things just in case.
Yeah, I follow the 20 minutes or $20 rule. Or if you could borrow it from somebody, like within 20 minutes, like I could drive to your house and borrow an extension cord from you or something and get back to my house within 20 minutes or replace it with less than $20. I get rid of it.
That's a good rule. I didn't know that rule.
Yeah, I don't remember where I heard that from. It's probably not from from my own mind. I probably heard it on someone else's podcast or something, but it's a helpful rule.
Yeah, that's a good one. Well, I'm excited to talk to Elizabeth today because I need a little bit more help simplifying, especially if we're going to add another kid. I feel like we need to get rid of some things. I need to learn how to let go, kind of get out of that scarcity mindset a little bit. So I hope she has some helpful tips.
She totally will. I love following her on Instagram. She's so inspiring.
She is. She's just like a calming presence.
Yeah. Yeah. I
feel like social media can be so like bye, and just like, I don't know, overstimulating in a way, but her content is so calming and I don't know. She's a happy follow.
She is.
Well, do you have any she should knows?
I do. Yeah. And it's kind of combined with a life event that's going on right now. So my husband is a teacher, not anymore, but he just got his first job as an administrator. And so it's at a different school district. So we're going to have a 1-month gap of health insurance. And it is also the same month that I'm giving birth, which is a risky month to not have insurance.
Yeah.
So what we've been looking at options for what to do, and you can get Cobra, but it's expensive. It's going to be like $1,500 for 1 month of insurance. Pricey. Which, if I knew for sure I was going to go to the emergency room, it'd be like, yeah, duh. So much cheaper to pay that than a $50,000 emergency room bill. But, obviously we're hoping that doesn't happen. So I found out about the 60-day Cobra loophole, which, everyone go do your own research. Okay, I'm not giving you financial advice. But this is really cool. So you can sign up for Cobra retroactively. So let's say the 30 days go by and nothing happens, then I just don't sign up for Cobra. Let's say in 10 days I end up in the emergency room, then I can sign up for Cobra and it goes backwards retroactively.
Yeah.
So you only spend the money if you need to spend the money.
Which I think we should also clarify that you have already been planning on cash paying for your birth.
Yes, that's true. I'm not just going willy-nilly into this. I'm doing a home birth and I've paid my midwives. They don't accept insurance, so I've paid for it already. So I'm not that risk. I have a pretty high risk tolerance, but not that high.
Yeah, like I could not, but the way you're doing it could work out. So I'm excited. And they're helping with the first 6 weeks, you said, of baby, of his checkup. So that will all be covered. Yeah. So you could hopefully get away with not having insurance for the next month.
Yes, sure hoping I do. Yeah, what about you? What are your she should knows?
Okay, so I actually have two. One is regarding time zones, because time zones can be tricky.
Especially as someone who's lived in Arizona her whole life. I don't know why I suck at time zones so bad, but we don't do daylight savings.
Yeah, Arizona doesn't do daylight savings. And so now that we're trying to set up podcast interviews with people who live across the country, we've been trying to do time zone math. And I've lived all over the country and in, I think, almost every time zone except Alaska one. So I've had a little bit more practice. But today, Elizabeth, she lives in the Eastern time zone. And technically, Arizona is mountain time. But we're mountain standard time always. And then when daylight savings happens, the rest of mountain time turns to mountain daylight time. So that's where things get confusing, because technically, yes, we are mountain time, but we're mountain standard time.
Yeah.
Not mountain daylight time, because we don't observe daylight savings. So while the rest of mountain time is only 2 hours behind Eastern time, we are 3 hours.
Okay.
So it gets a little confusing, but if you've ever wanted to know the difference, I actually didn't know the difference between mountain standard and mountain daylight time. I always just moved Arizona to Utah time or California time, because those are the places.
That's how my brain has done it too.
So right now we are California time, not Utah time. Anyways, so there you go. You learned something new. My second she should know is actually brought to you by my sister, which I cannot believe I've never even thought about this before. Like, never crossed my mind. But elevators, have you ever noticed that they ding when they open?
Yeah.
Yeah. So apparently elevators will ding once if it's going up and will ding twice if it's going down.
What? I was just in an elevator today and I didn't even notice that.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Okay, now I'm trying to think. Like, the elevator I was in today was like, an electric elevator. I don't even remember if it dinged. I feel like old elevators ding, but maybe new ones do too, and I just don't even notice it.
Yeah, sound once when they're going up and sound twice when it's going down, which can be helpful for people who are
vision impaired?
Yeah, vision impaired. That's what I was looking for. Thank you.
Yeah. Wow. That is so cool.
Yeah, that's really cool. So next time you're going into an elevator.
Oh, Elizabeth is joining. She just texted me. Okay, today we have Elizabeth Van Doren with us. She's a mom of two, a little boy, and she has another one on the way. She works remotely from her home in New York. And as a busy wife and mom, Elizabeth understands the challenges of managing a household and the importance of creating a peaceful and organized home. She is so fun to follow on Instagram, and she shares her expertise in simplifying home life through decluttering routines and simple decor. She loves to help others stop feeling overwhelmed by their surroundings and truly enjoy their homes. So we're so glad you're here with us, Elizabeth.
Welcome to She Would Know. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you guys so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Elizabeth, I'm pretty sure we both started following you at the same time where we met in the Good Influencer Race to 10K challenge, right?
Yes.
That's awesome. And it's been so fun just
to watch you guys grow.
I feel like we're friends, even though I've just been following you on Instagram. I don't know if you feel the same way, but
Yeah, it's so fun. And now we're both pregnant at the same time too.
I know.
And all the good influencer community is so sweet.
They really are. I mean, I didn't find exactly success as an influencer, which is okay. But watching everybody find success and like build their personal brands or their business or whatever, it's just been really fun to see where it's taken everybody.
Yeah, it has been fun.
And even just the connections on there.
Yeah. Because otherwise we never would have met. I mean, we wouldn't be doing this now if it wasn't for the group.
For sure. Well, we're so excited to like tap into your knowledge about minimalism and simplifying things, but we want to do a rapid fire question.
Okay.
First, yeah, just dip our toes into Elizabeth. We're going to set the timer for 90 seconds, so it'll just be really fast. And answer as many as you can. Let me find the timer. I don't even know how to work a phone anymore. Let's do a stopwatch. Okay. Alrighty. You ready?
Yes.
Okay. First question. What is your favorite meal to make?
Oh my gosh, my favorite meal to make. Guys, I'm so bad at this. Maybe some kind of soup. I don't know. I'm ready for fall, so I'm starting to get excited for that. That sounds so weird in the middle of summer, but I don't know. It's kind of like therapeutic to chop. Okay.
Okay.
And what is your hobby?
I would say my hobby is my Instagram and sharing on there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
What are 3 words to describe yourself in high school?
Oh my gosh, high school. Probably a little weird. Loyal and I don't know.
That's okay. Finish the sentence for us. The way to my heart is
quality time.
Same. What time do you wake up in the morning?
It kind of varies, but typically around 6.
And what's the best compliment you've ever received?
That I was kind.
That's a good one. What is one item you can't live without?
My phone.
Relatable.
And what do you enjoy doing in your alone time?
Usually reading or listening to books.
What's the last book you read?
I am in a book club and I just finished. It was an Elin Hildebrand book, 28 Summers.
Oh, fun. I love Elin Hildebrand.
Mhm.
I read something about Nantucket.
Yes, they're all about almost all about
Oh. Okay, I love her. I've read one book, but I enjoyed it. There was a ghost, I think.
Yeah.
Do they all have ghosts in them?
No.
Oh, okay.
I read that one, though, the hotel one.
Yes, the hotel one. Hotel Nantucket.
I liked it.
All right, well, that was all our rapid fire questions.
Thanks for bearing with us.
Sorry, guys. I'm so bad with stuff like that off the top of my head.
Oh, some people love it and some
edit
people
some of
hate
this.
it. It's like kind
Oh
of
my
fun
gosh,
to
no.
see.
I'm like immediately stressed.
No.
Like, oh my gosh, I can't think.
Yeah, I like preparing ahead of time what my answers are going to be.
I know, you guys were so sweet to send questions.
Have you
Also,
been on a podcast
I hear my
before?
son. I put him to bed an hour
Okay.
ago, and
Oh, no.
I hear him yelling. So hopefully it doesn't pick that up.
Okay,
But
I don't hear it, but it's okay.
okay, that's fine.
Is
He's
your-
totally fine. He's just talking
Okay.
to himself.
Okay, my kids do that too. They we just put them in the same room,
Mhm.
and they now just talk to each other and keep each
Aw.
other awake, and they like sing songs and they'll fight.
That's cute.
Like, no, my mommy, and I'm like, this is super enjoyable to just listen to you guys
So cute.
cause a ruckus and keep each other up.
Aw.
So it's super fun. How far apart will your kids be?
They'll be like a little over 2 years.
Okay,
He just
fun.
turned 2.
Fun.
That's so exciting. Well,
Okay, let's jump into our actual
Okay.
interview.
Yeah. okay. We're excited to talk to you about how to simplify your life and minimalism. And what is the difference between simplism and minimalism? Because in your bio, you say you're a simplist. Am I saying that right?
Yeah. Yeah. So I just kind of felt like minimalism never totally described how I felt. Like I don't feel like a minimalist. And probably because minimalism has like an aesthetic and like a design style that kind of comes with it. So it's kind of hard to separate those in my mind. And I didn't feel like I fit that like minimalist aesthetic of like all white and very bare. And so one day somebody sent me a message and said, I just want my home to be simple, but I don't feel like I'm a total minimalist. I was like, yes, me too. That's exactly how I feel. I just want my home to feel like simple in that it serves our family well and does what we need it to do, but also feels like cozy and warm and welcoming, which I feel like you don't always get with the term minimalism. So I started saying simplest instead, and I just kind of went with that. But yeah.
I love that. So you made that term up?
Yes, I did.
Oh my gosh, you gotta trademark that.
I know.
No, I love it too because minimalism, I feel like, can go to such an extreme. Where I think I watched like a Netflix documentary once where it's like they have one chair and one bowl and one spoon, and it's like that is great.
27 items total.
Yeah, that is
That's
great.
true.
But for the majority of us, especially as wives and mothers, like we need to have a little bit more stuff for the different stages of life or whatever, and simplifying that versus cutting it all out is probably a better choice for most of us and something a little more achievable.
Yeah, I know a lot of people use the term minimal-ish because that kind of fits what people think too. It's like you want to simplify and be minimal, but you don't want to be a minimalist because it comes with those connotations. So.
Yeah, and I like how you apply it to routines as well.
Everything in your life.
Yes, totally.
So how can we as women define what simplism means for us, considering the specific demands and roles that women often juggle?
Yeah, kind of like you just mentioned with routines, I kind of broadened the definition of simplism to include not just decluttering, but also routines and like simple decor. And I think when it comes to defining what it means to an individual, it can mean totally different things depending on your season of life, the season of the year. For example, like when I was just an early married person and like no kids and I was just doing my own thing and in school, I had a very different idea of what was simple in my home and what I had time and like mental energy to take care of versus like being a new mom postpartum. Like I needed things to be extremely simple. And so I feel like it can kind of change and it's very personal to the person and it can be different depending on what you need in whatever season you're in.
I think that's a really important distinction people need to make for themselves. It's like, okay, you see on social media people living these different lifestyles and you might achieve to be that way, but it might not be right for your season of life. So it's even like, I mean, we're in similar seasons of life, but there's also things about the way you live your simplistic lifestyle that is not realistic for me at this time. And it's okay to kind of pick and choose what parts of it you can adopt at different times.
Yeah. And it sounds like too kind of what you're saying is like it's like custom to each person, but it's whatever's sustainable for each person. Because like, I don't know, right now, like 39 weeks pregnant, like even just like loading the dishwasher every day feels like impossible. But 6 months ago, that would have been like something so easy, load the dishwasher before you go to bed or something and then unload it in the morning, which is like a routine that I think a lot of people try to do. But yeah, the simpleness with the routines and is very custom to a phase of life.
Yes. And I also think you kind of have to like think about what your biggest pain points in whatever season you're in are too, because that could be totally different depending on, like you just said, where we are in like late pregnancy versus like somebody that's single. Like they might have totally different pain points and be able to like fit routines or even like bring in extra help to kind of alleviate those pain points too.
Yeah, I love seeing these single female influencers. I love watching their days in their life, and I'm like, oh, to be single again. I would get so much stuff done.
Yeah.
I know. It's so true.
Well, kind of going back to more of the simplism with like objects, more the minimalism side of it. Sometimes it feels like a constant battle. Do you feel like crap just shows up in your house all the time? How do you develop a good mindset around that if it feels empowering instead of like feeling defeated by all this junk that keeps showing up?
I feel like what I find empowering about it is that I can recognize when it's starting to feel too much and overwhelming. Like before, you just kind of feel like you're drowning and you just feel overwhelmed, but you don't really know how to get out of it versus having gone through and decluttered a lot. You kind of know what that feels like. And then when it starts to get too much, you can kind of recognize that and you know what steps to take to like make it a little bit better and to kind of alleviate some of that stress and overwhelm. But stopping the flow of things into your home is whole other topic, and it's so important too, because if you just keep decluttering, but you keep bringing new things into your house constantly, which a lot of us tend to do in our culture right now, obviously it's just going to be like a never-ending battle. So I feel like I find it empowering to know how to fix it, but you also have to like kind of address some of those root causes of why there's so much coming into your home, and like make sure that you're kind of being a little more cognizant of what you're doing there, and kind of slow it down too.
Yes, I totally agree with that.
Maybe canceling your Amazon Prime membership for a couple months could help.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even just like paper stuff is so overwhelming to me. Like, I don't want a pile of papers on my counter like my mom always had growing up. I've thought so many times about putting a trash can in my garage so that I could just throw stuff, like check the mail and then like throw the mail away before I go into my house.
That's a good idea.
Throw away the art from
True.
preschool.
Papers are so hard. Papers are one of my weaknesses too. I have to go through them very often.
So getting into a little bit of your journey, what was kind of the starting point for you to kind of start the simplistic lifestyle? And then what were the first 3 steps you took to simplify your life?
I would say it really started, I was in my last year of college, and I think that's when Marie Kondo's book kind of blew up and people were all excited about the life-changing magic of tidying up. And I was home on a break, and it was my last year of college, so I was about to graduate, so I had to go through all my stuff at home to like move out. And I read like almost the entire book in like a couple days, and decided like that weekend I was going through all of my things. So I actually did it. I went through everything I owned at my parents' house. I decluttered so much, all my clothes from elementary, middle school, high school, whatever I had, all kinds of stuff. And it felt so good when you're done. Like, you just feel so much lighter. And then I graduated, I got married, life happened. 5 years later of being married and moving around, we had so much stuff, and I was feeling so overwhelmed. And Marie Kondo says once you do this once, you'll never have to do it again. I definitely don't think that's true, because like we were just talking about, you are always bringing in new things into your house. So 5 years later, we had been married, we moved again, we had so much stuff. We had moved into a townhouse, and I was just shocked at like how much we actually filled it up. So I started trying to declutter like as we were moving. Obviously, when you're packing, you can start to get rid of things. And then we moved into a house where we live now. And just seeing the amount of stuff you have when you move is so eye-opening, because you're like shocked at like the sheer volume of stuff that you have. And I think that was one thing that really kind of started me in thinking like I really need to like declutter and simplify. Like, we should not have this much stuff to like fill an actual home as like just me and my husband at that point. And then I was about to have a baby when we moved. So we had the baby, and I had a maternity leave. I went back to work full time. I was working as a corporate recruiter at the time. And so my son went to daycare, and I just felt so overwhelmed trying to keep up with my full-time job, obviously having a baby. My husband's in his medical residency, which is super demanding time-wise. So we were just like trying to keep up, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I don't want my free time to be spent taking care of like all of the stuff in our house and just feeling overwhelmed constantly. So I had a week where I had a week off of work right around the holidays, and my husband had to work, so we were just at home. And I just decided I'm going to declutter the entire house. So I got Marie Kondo's checklist. I was like, I know what this feels like to do it. I just need to take the time to do it. So I spent the entire week going through every single category, moving through my whole house with the baby. He would be like in a bouncer, and I would be like in my closet going through all my clothes. And so I did that, and it made such a big difference in like how I felt as a mom and a working mom, and how much just it takes so much mental load and like overwhelm off of your mind. And it changed so much. So that's actually when I started sharing it on Instagram too. I had my Instagram just kind of as like a fun hobby. But once I did that really big declutter, that's when I started sharing more. It was right at the beginning of the year, so a lot of people are decluttering. But yeah, that's kind of what I started. Like, I knew the difference that it could make. And I know that so many people struggle with feeling overwhelmed by their homes and like drowning in all their stuff, because we all have so much stuff. And I wanted people to kind of be able to see some of the benefits and help them find that home that they actually can enjoy and feel at peace in.
I love that. Tell us more about the checklist that you used.
Yeah, I used Marie Kondo's checklist. She breaks it down into certain categories, and she basically lists these big categories, and then she'll list like all these little things within it. You could really go in any order you want. I don't know why I find hers helpful. She starts with clothes. I actually have a downloadable master checklist that I can give you guys to put in the notes if anybody wants it. But
Yeah,
I just work through her list, and you just check off every category and it works through your whole house. She says that you should, like, if you're doing clothes, you should do all of the clothes in your entire house at the same time. Or like if you're doing, like, instead of going room by room, you should do it by category, because maybe you keep something of the same category in like 3 different places in your house. She kind of says that you should do all of those together and then only have one place that you put them. So that, like, sometimes if you're looking for something, you're like, I don't even know where to find this. Like, it could be in the guest room or it could be like in a storage room. So she kind of says you should do it by category so that everything is with its category. I don't know.
I love that.
I'm impressed you were able to do it all in 1 week.
There's something about, like, I know people feel like they don't have time and they have to, or they want to like do it slowly over time, little by little. But there is something to be said for doing it in a really short time frame like that. I think because at least I get this big motivation and like momentum almost. And obviously you get tired in the middle of it, but I don't know, it just kind of motivates me to get it done. And like going from feeling so overwhelmed and having so much stuff to like the end result that quickly, it really is kind of life-changing.
I know, I want to do a week challenge now.
I recommend it.
Let's do it. I'm feeling motivated to like, I think I do have pretty minimalist amount of things, but I'm ready to like throw half of it away right now having this conversation. You're so inspiring.
Yeah, I've been holding on to stuff, especially clothes, like postpartum. It's like, I mean, I'm 2 years postpartum and I still don't fit into my clothes the way I want to. And it's like, well, do I bother getting new stuff? Do I just hold on to these things that I don't really love still? I don't know. And then, I mean, baby stuff. I have so much baby stuff, but it's like, I'm going to have more babies. So I don't know. It's so hard to get rid of things sometimes.
It is. I think
the postpartum clothes journey is a whole topic in itself.
Yeah, just need its own separate closet that you don't touch until you're done having babies. Like, this is exempt from Marie Kondo. What would you say is... Actually, this is supposed to be Chelsea's question. But which space has impacted your life the most since decluttering it?
It's so hard to pick a space because I feel like I just said, like doing it all at once made such a big impact. But I feel like my closet was a big one. Just because I feel like your closet tends to be somewhere that feels really overwhelming and full of clothes that maybe don't fit you or you don't like, and it just feels really heavy. But you also don't spend all day every day in your closet, so it doesn't have like that big of an impact that way. Also, I would say that the biggest impact has just been how much easier it is to like tidy my main living area. I feel like that's been the biggest difference I've noticed. Is before I would feel so overwhelmed and like it would take me like, it felt like it would take hours to actually like clean up my living areas, which now it only takes me like 10-15 minutes. So even if it does get messy, like I know that I can go in really quickly and like put my AirPods in and listen to something and just pick it up really quickly and feel so much better. So just the amount of time it actually takes to tidy and keep things clean, I feel like has been the biggest impact.
That sounds like a dream.
Yeah. Do you follow the Minimal Mom on... I think she's on Instagram, but she's more on YouTube.
Yes.
Dawn, the Minimal Mom.
Mm-hmm.
I love her. And she always talks about how like she doesn't really care about the number of items she has, but she wants to be able to tidy each room in 5 minutes or less. So if you have 5 rooms, that means you can tidy your whole house in 25 minutes.
Yes. So true.
And I've noticed in my own journey too, that's like it. Like, I don't get that overwhelmed. My daughter like destroys our living room with all her toys because I know that it's going to take me like 5 minutes to clean it all up.
Yes. So true.
I think I need a smaller house.
Such a good goal.
Let's trade. Okay, what would you say is the hardest and easiest spaces to simplify? Like, I know Marie Kondo talks about sentimental and less sentimental, but like, what's your theory on that?
I feel like for me, the easiest are like the kitchen and the bathroom because, I don't know, maybe because they're not sentimental, there's not a lot of emotion attached to those things. So it's pretty easy to like go through. And the hardest, I feel like, are clothes and sentimental for me. It's actually kind of interesting because Marie Kondo has you start with clothes and end with sentimental, I think, and do like all the kitchen and bathroom and stuff in between. And It is kind of helpful. She says that you hone in your expertise and your skill on being able to decide what to keep and what to give away so that by the time you get to the sentimental, it's a little bit easier. And I feel like that is a little bit true. Like if you get some of the things out of the way that don't have much emotion attached to them, it gets kind of easier to tell what you want to keep and let go of.
Yeah, and I agree with kitchen and bathroom because it's obvious what you use and what you don't use.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like, oh, I'm going to use this, I don't know, guacamole squisher. You never use it, you know? But with a sweatshirt or something that you got on a vacation that you loved, but now it doesn't fit you. There's just so many, it's so much more like, oh, but if I start going to the gym like I want to, maybe it will fit me or whatever. But yeah, I agree with the kitchen and the bathrooms being easier.
So did you figure out a system to help effectively declutter sentimental items?
So sentimental items are so hard. And I feel like it's one of those things, I really think that knowing what to keep and get rid of is a skill that you do get better at. Like the first time I decluttered stuff, it was harder to get rid of things. But the more you do it, the more you can tell if it's worth it to you, I guess. So with sentimental things, I feel like there's a couple different almost categories. There's things that you're holding on to, like the sweatshirt from vacation, or like for me, it was white dresses from my rehearsal dinner and weddings, wedding shower, stuff like that I kept even though they don't fit me. And like, do I really need 3 or 4 or 5 white dresses? Am I going to wear those again? Probably not. And I kept them for so long. And then finally I was like, these really, like, I have pictures in all of these. I don't need the actual dress. And maybe somebody else really does need it that's looking for a white dress. So eventually I got rid of those and I feel totally fine about getting rid of them. So it's one of those things that over time you're like, do I really need this? Is this actually like the actual item giving me like memories about it? Because sometimes it might, but sometimes it won't. And then sometimes you have sentimental things that it's just in a box somewhere and you never really look at it or open it. And what I like to do with some of that is take a look at it and see if there's a way that you can kind of display it so that you can enjoy it more than it just sitting in the basement in a box. I have a little drawing, like note card that my husband drew me when we were dating. And obviously you have things like that, and those are totally fine to keep, of course, because you do go back and look at them eventually, like over time. But I picked out one of them and I put it on a little frame and put it on my bedside table so I could actually like see it and enjoy it. So sometimes it's like thinking about, or is there a way that you could actually better enjoy some of those sentimental items versus just getting rid of them or just keeping them in a box in storage. So yeah, it's kind of hard. You have to take each item individually and decide, like, is it worth it to keep it? Do you have pictures that maybe would be a better reminder of that memory or that time? Is there a different way that you can display it or show it? Like maybe, if, I don't know, photos. I don't know. There's so many different kinds of sentimental items. They are hard though.
I like the idea of displaying it.
Yeah, like, is it really that sentimental if you don't want to see it?
Right. Yeah. Did you keep your wedding dress?
I do have my wedding dress. It's at my parents' house, so I'll leave it there.
I got rid of mine, and I don't regret it.
I still have mine.
Honestly, I wouldn't miss it. It's in a box preserved.
Mine's not. Mine's just in my closet.
Some people put them back on and wear them.
Well, my plan was, because we didn't get good pictures of us in, like, and our getup, like in my wedding dress. So my plan was our 1-year anniversary or something to like go and get good pictures done. But I was 8 months pregnant on our 1-year anniversary, so that did not happen. And I'm just like, I'll fit back in and we can take those pictures. It's not going to happen. So I should probably let go of it.
Get it turned into like a baby blessing dress or something.
I have my baby blessing dress that my daughter wore.
You could turn it in or like use part of it.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
The other thing with sentimental that I just remembered that can be really helpful is to, like, especially for gifts or things people gave you, I guess that kind of fits into sentimental. It could. Marie Kondo kind of says that it serves its purpose when they give it to you as the gift, but if you don't feel sentimental about it or emotional about it, you don't necessarily have to feel like you have to keep it. Or with cards or things like that, like, some people do keep every card they get, but that's a lot of paper and a lot of things to hold on to. So the way I kind of handle that is, obviously, if it's like a really special heartfelt card from somebody, you can keep it in a special box or a special place. Or what I do is I'll keep cards for a year, and then the next year, birthday cards or things like that. And then the next year, I'll look at the old ones and keep the New Year's cards and get rid of the old ones or things like that. So you have to kind of like, you don't have to take people's feelings into account with some of that stuff. Like if it's meaningful to you, you can keep it, but it also served its purpose when they gave it to you. So
it reminds me of that Gilmore Girls episode when, what's the grandma's name?
Emily.
When her mother-in-law's coming to visit and she has to bring out all the stuff that she was gifted.
It's so funny. It's so funny.
I love that.
What do you think about kids like art projects? Because that's a tough one.
I don't have a ton yet, but I have a little drawer actually right on my desk where I keep them. And what I've done for now is like, if it's like a handprint or like an actual special one, I keep it. If it's like just scribbles on a paper, I'm like, I don't need that.
Oh, it's so cute. Throw it away.
I know people do like they make like a little art box and they'll like pick out their favorite ones at the end of the year and like keep them. Some people take pictures of them and make them into a book. Like there's a lot, like if you look on social media, there's like a lot of different ways people do it.
Okay, a decluttering tip, I know we're not interviewing me about this, but it is something I'm passionate about, is like with items that are hard, or I think with anything, to let like the container be the bully, like have a box that's only so big, and that's how much art you save, is whatever fits in that box, and like let that be the bully instead of like the sentimental thing of it, of like, well, this is the box we have for art for kids, so we're gonna have to get rid of some because we can only keep what fits in the box. That's something that I do that's super helpful.
I love that tip. I use that too. It's like for any category, like your container is the limit of what you get to keep. Like if you have a small closet, sorry, I don't know, you have to like figure it out, or like a small bathroom. But it's so helpful to think about it and like put your favorite things in first, and if you run out of room, you run out of room.
Yeah, it takes the emotion out of it.
Yeah.
Okay, so have you ever regretted decluttering something?
Honestly, not that much. At one point I got rid of a sweater that later I was like, oh, I wish I still had that sweater. But now looking back like years later, I'm like, oh, I would have gotten rid of that anyway at some point. Like it's not my style anymore. So I feel like there really isn't much that I've gotten rid of that I really regret.
Sorry, I just bumped my mic into this fake tree next to me. That's awesome. I'm trying to think if there's anything I've decluttered that I regret.
Yeah, I feel like there's the occasional clothing item that it's like, oh, I wish I had that, or like what happened to that, but it's also like I could go replace it if I wanted to.
Yeah, I don't buy that expensive of clothes.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I'm sure Ross has a $5 white t-shirt that I can go
most
buy.
of my clothes are from Walmart or Costco.
Yep.
Or
I've heard that too. Like I think somebody has like a $20 rule. Like if it costs less than $20 and you think you might need it in the future, like it's not that big of a deal if you end up needing it, or you can find another way or borrow it from a friend or something like that.
Yeah, Chelsea brought that up before when we were doing our intro. It's the $20 20-minute rule.
Yeah, I love that rule.
That's a good one.
Okay, how has adopting the simplest mindset and lifestyle impacted other areas of your life, like financially, emotionally, physically?
I feel like emotionally and mentally it's made the biggest difference because it relieves so much mental load and like overwhelm with what you have to keep up with. Just like looking around your house and seeing all the things around you, I feel like that makes the biggest difference. But it does make a difference, I feel like, maybe with the capacity you have for other things that you may have wanted to implement but you weren't able to. I don't know like specifically physically, but if there were things I wanted to do, like maybe work out more, or like different hobbies or habits that I wanted to do, just having like a simpler home that doesn't take up as much time and mental load can kind of free up some space for some of those other things. And obviously financially too, the decluttering itself may not, but like we were talking about, kind of being really aware of what's coming into your home and trying to work on that too would obviously help financially.
Yes. I love that part. And you could also have a yard sale when you get rid of stuff. You don't always have to give it away. You can make a little cash off of your junk. A little motivation to get rid of stuff. So how Do you involve your family or partner in the minimalistic journey, even if they're not as enthusiastic about it? What was your experience?
I would say my husband was on board, but he didn't have time, I guess. So, and I know that this is like a really common struggle with a lot of people where one of them wants to get rid of everything and one of them wants to keep everything. So what I always say in those situations are to work on your own things first, just like a relationship. You work on yourself first, and eventually they'll see the value in it and they'll start to notice some of the impacts. Like if even common spaces, kitchens, bathrooms, if it goes from being like a mess to all of a sudden being like really simple and tidy and organized, obviously your partner and your family are going to notice that and start to recognize some of the benefits, and probably eventually will open up to doing some themselves. And then when they are ready to do it, I always recommend like inviting them to help. When they are ready, you can help them and kind of walk them through it with you. Like my husband, he has a lot of clothes and they take up a lot of room because they're so much bigger. And like I said, I went through everything while he was at work. And then maybe a couple weeks later, I asked if we could do his clothes and I helped him get all of them out. I would hold things up, ask if he liked it, ask if he wanted to keep it. And then I put them in a bag and took them off somewhere for him. So kind of like showing them the benefits and then offering to help and walk them through it when they're ready.
Do you agree, marriage therapist?
Yeah, I think that's excellent advice. And I like what you said about, doing your own stuff and then doing the community spaces. And then, yeah, usually by then people see all the benefits.
Yeah, I don't recommend just getting rid of their things. Although I do, for my husband, like I'm usually the one that's doing laundry and putting them away a lot of times because he works really long hours. But if there is a point where I can't put things away easily, sometimes I will go in and take things out that I know he doesn't wear as often. And I don't get rid of them, but I do put them, maybe I'll put them in a bin and put them in storage. And if he ends up looking for it, I'm like, oh, it's downstairs in a bin, or find a different place to keep it. But just sometimes even noticing the difference and they're like, oh, this feels so much better. I don't even miss the stuff you moved. And then like a year later, you can be like, you didn't look for any of this in a year. And at that point, they can get rid of it. So...
Yeah, which I think is fair. Like if you're the one who's putting the clothes into the drawer and you like can't fit all the shirts in the drawer or whatever, then that kind of goes with the responsibility of like managing the clothes in the house. Mm-hmm. So I think that's fair. I have a rule. If I see something that has a hole or a stain, I just throw it away. It's like, sorry. In our family, we don't wear clothes that have holes, I'm just throwing it away.
That's a good rule. I mean, I do the same thing with my kids, with their toys. It's like, if this is driving me nuts, they most likely aren't going to miss it. I mean, we are getting to the stage where they like have special things that they want, but
it can disappear.
I'm ruthless on things. If I pick it off the floor too many times, it's going in the trash. Better watch out. Don't drop anything on the floor in my house.
I know someone, a friend who, she has this giant basket. She has like 3 kids, and everything she picks up goes in that basket. If they don't grab it out of the basket by the end of the week or the day or whatever, she throws it away.
Good for her. Get rid of that crap.
And it's like, then they put the accountability on the kids and her husband to take care of their own things and to recognize that they're not where they're supposed to be. Which we're not at that stage of life yet, but one day. When
our kids have working brains.
Yeah.
Make decisions for themselves. That'll be nice.
What are some tips to prevent clutter from creeping back in after you've decluttered it?
It's so hard, but it is so important because if you're decluttering, but you're constantly bringing new things into your house, you're just going to be constantly in this cycle. So you really do have to like be really thoughtful and aware of what you're bringing into your house. I know some people do like a box in, box out kind of rule where like if they buy new things, they fill up a box and take. For me, what's been helpful is to like be really mindful and recognize when I'm feeling the urge to like buy a lot of things or like buy new clothes, and try to at least slow that process down and like be really thoughtful about it. Like maybe wait a couple days to a week and see if I still want those things. Because a lot of times it is just more of like a impulse kind of feeling that you're looking for, but you don't necessarily need it or even want it. So I try to slow that down. I've also done like no spend months where, like you said, like cancel Amazon Prime, or just try to like set little goals for yourself to see if you really need the things by the end of the month, you can still buy them. I read Kate Flanders' book, The Year of Less, which she does it for a whole year, which is extreme, but I can handle like a month here and there. And also, I think social media plays a huge role in like bringing things into your house and being influenced, which obviously it's so fun, but also like you have to be a little bit careful with it, with who you follow, or even just if you're going through a time when you're trying not to buy things or add things to your house, maybe unfollowing certain accounts or just spending less time on social media in general was really helpful for me. But yeah, it's a really important part of the process. Otherwise, you're just going to be constantly bringing more things in.
One thing I would do is attach a separate Amazon to my Instagram. So when it would open up, I'd have it sign in to it. I mean, you can't do it now with some of them because it'll take you right to the Amazon app. But before, when it would just open it in a browser, it would log into one that didn't have Prime, and I would just add things to my cart, but it wouldn't be in the Amazon that I check regularly. Yes. So it's like I would just forget about them and I wouldn't buy them. And then I go back and I'd be like, no, I don't actually need that. So that was one of my helpful things, but now it doesn't work as well.
I know they
the classic fill up the cart and just leave it there and don't buy it.
Because you get that little dopamine rush of add to cart and that'll be fun, but then you don't actually take the financial impact of purchasing it.
I know, and I feel like now with the like comment for link thing that is so popular on Instagram, it's so much easier. Like, it's easier, right? So that there's more conversion and then the influencer makes more money and stuff. But it's so dangerous. I just can't even follow Amazon deal accounts.
I've never commented for a link.
Really?
Ever. I've never. I just can't. I don't know. There's something in my mind that doesn't let me. I'm like, no, I'll check out the link by myself, but I won't let you send it to me.
An Anthropologie Amazon dupe is like my weakness.
Yeah, I do love me an Amazon dupe. This is actually something that I still have the tag on it. I'm trying out from Amazon.
Is so cute.
I was like, I just like can order them in a bunch of sizes and try them on and send them back if I don't like them. But
I've been so bad about that this maternity season too.
Yeah, being pregnant is the clothing thing. I'm to the point where I have like 3 outfits that fit me of all my maternity clothes. And I'm like,
it's so rough.
It makes it really easy to get dressed, but
you should just apply it to the rest of your life. It's remember how easy it was to get dressed when I only had 3 outfits.
Yeah. I actually want to do like a postpartum when my body goes back to a decently normal size, do like a capsule wardrobe and try that out.
I would love a uniform. I want someone to just pick out a uniform for me and I just wear the same thing every day.
I have decided on a workout clothes uniform and just buying all my workout clothes all black.
Yeah. Because
then I feel like I'm wearing cute matching set and it's like old and new and whatever, like, like it can all mix together, but it's just all black.
This is not on our questions, but did finding your color season help you kind of simplify your wardrobe and all that?
So much. It helps so much and I love it. I would have never picked out some of these colors that turned out to be my color season. And I just made my mom do it too. I got my husband's done because I wanted to know what his colors were. But it really is because it kind of helps you create a capsule because you have certain colors that obviously, and they look better on you too, which is fun. Whereas before I feel like I went to like neutrals, like black, white, like the traditional neutrals. But now that I know what colors look better on me, it was really helpful for me to just kind of narrow down what colors I have. And they're not black or white. So that was interesting. But it did kind of help me make a color palette and a capsule within my wardrobe.
Yeah, I really want to know what mine is. I tried to do like a DIY one and I actually posted on TikTok and it was not. I still don't know.
I could not figure out mine either. And I tried for a long time and then I finally.
Are you autumn or winter?
I'm autumn.
You're autumn. Okay. Which autumn?
I'm deep autumn.
Deep autumn. Okay. I can see that. I could talk about color seasons forever.
We should do a whole episode on color seasons.
We should.
And capsules and uniforms.
Yes. Yeah. That's my dream. I just don't want to pay for it. That's my hold up. I'm such a cheapskate. Okay, this is a long one, but a lot of women are overstimulated and overwhelmed, and we know the number of items in someone's home contributes to that. What are your top 3 tips for a woman who wants to simplify her life and stuff?
Okay, my top 3 tips. First is to just get started. I know I said I like to do like a big, massive declutter. If you can swing that, go for it. But you don't have to. Like, you can just grab a trash bag, and everybody has 15 minutes throughout the day that they can find, or in their week at least, to tackle like a drawer or a closet. So you can make steps to make your home better and start to do. Yeah, you have to like just make time for it, whether it's a week at once and getting your whole house done, or 15 minutes here and there working through different spaces. The second thing, as we've already talked about, is to start to recognize the flow of things into your home. We just talked about this, so I won't say everything again, but do like a no spend month, or just be really like aware of what you're bringing into your home and try to slow that down. Because if you never address that, you're just going to be in the same situation. And lastly, we didn't talk a ton about routines, but start to implement some routines and habits, because the more those become habit and automatic, like for me, like my resets are really like habit at this point. And I think the definition of a habit, you guys probably know better than me, is like something that you have a hard time not doing. And I cannot go to bed until I reset and start my coffee for the morning or set it up. And it just frees up so much mental space, but it also makes your days go so much smoother. So start to implement a routine. I recommend starting with a reset routine once a day. Just reset like your living spaces. And that keeps it from getting so out of control throughout the week if you do a little bit every day. So that would be my third one, is to start a routine habit. You can build onto it, but start small. And it really does make a huge difference in how overwhelmed you feel.
Do you think you have like a specific time? How do I say this? How long would you say it took you to develop like a specific habit? Like for it to really become a habit and not just oh, I need to do this.
I honestly don't know a specific time. I feel like all the habit books probably have, I don't know, what is it, like 21 days or whatever. I really think it's key to start really small. Don't try to do everything at once. Just like say, I'm going to do a 10-minute reset every day before I go to bed. And I feel like within like a month, it kind of turns into a habit. But I just remember specifically one night, and I've been doing this for 2 years. I really started when my son was a newborn, and I really needed routines to keep everything under control. And then one night, kind of recently, I really, really wanted to go to bed and skip everything. And I was like, I just can't. I have to do it. I can't go to bed without doing it. And I realized this is an actual habit, because I have a hard time not doing it, even when I don't want to do it.
I love that. And I feel like that the being tired is often why we don't do the habit. And I always tell myself, I'm like, okay, getting 20 more minutes of sleep versus doing this, nighttime routine of cleaning up the house won't actually make that big of a difference in how I feel tomorrow. But waking up to a clean house will make a big difference in how I feel tomorrow.
So true.
I have a different perspective as a recently diagnosed with ADHD person. I don't have habits. It's really hard for me to remember to do things. So I have everything in my phone with reminders and step-by-step instructions to remind me, because otherwise I don't remember to do things, even if it is something that's like, oh, I do this every single day. Like my money routine, I love my money routine, and it's something I do every month, every 2 weeks, but it's so hard for me to remember to do stuff. My brain just doesn't work that way. So I have to have a little bit of an assistant to help me get into that routine. So if you are a little more neurodivergent, it's okay if habits aren't exactly habits.
Or have your Alexa remind you or something.
Yeah, literally everything is in my phone with routines and reminders so that I can get stuff done, because otherwise I'm just like, oh crap, I know I'm supposed to be doing things, but I just don't know where to start. So that was something I was grateful to learn about myself last year when I got my diagnosis. Anyways, thank you for answering all those questions. We have some listener questions, so let's jump into our listener submitted questions.
And how are you doing on time, Elizabeth? We didn't really ask you if you have
I'm
time
good
left to go. Okay, so this is what one person said. They said, I feel overwhelmed by the sheer amount of stuff I own. How can I get a clear vision for a minimalist space that still feels like uniquely me? And you kind of touched on this with why you don't identify as minimalist per se, but yeah, what advice would you have for this person?
I would say, so they don't know how to make their space simpler, but still make it feel like them, like decor-wise, do you think?
Yeah, probably.
I would say obviously first you have to start with removing all of the things that are like keeping you from feeling comfortable in your space or that are making it feel kind of overwhelming. So actually declutter the things that you don't want or don't need or use. And then once you get there, the Nester is my favorite resource. My Quillen Smith, she has a couple books. Everything I've learned like about how to decorate in a minimal way, I learned from her. Her book, Cozy Minimalist Home, teaches you like a step-by-step process basically to decorate a room. And her whole like slogan is to make it have the most amount of style with the least amount of stuff. So like teaching you how to decorate a space that doesn't feel like full of things and feel cluttered, but still feels like warm and cozy is like what she teaches. And it's so helpful. So like understanding the right order to decorate a room in and how to use scale to make it feel cohesive and like decorated without feeling like everywhere you look, there's little things everywhere. And obviously your personal style comes into it, and using like Pinterest to kind of identify your personal style and what kind of like feel you're going for in your home and in different rooms is super helpful too.
That was perfect.
That book sounds awesome.
Yeah, I need that book.
Oh my gosh, if you guys don't follow her, she's my favorite. I'm obsessed.
Okay, yeah, I'm totally gonna check. I wrote it down. We're gonna check it out.
Yeah, and we'll put that in the show notes too.
Yes,
please do. Yes, I had to shout out the Nester. Oh my gosh,
I do think scale makes a big difference. Like, where was I? Oh, maybe this isn't a great example. I was visiting my grandpa in a nursing home, so like, I don't think he has really a ton of control of what his room looks like. But the lamps on his bedside table were tiny. The lamps were probably like 8 inches tall. I'm like, it just looks so weird. But I think if there were bigger lamps, then the room would feel more grounded. I don't know. So I think scale plays a big role in your decor feeling like it's cozy and unique to you. And
yeah, so true. And usually you need things to be way bigger than you expect. Like when you look at lamps at Target, you'll pick one up and it will feel so big, but then you bring it home and put it on a table and it's like perfect. And things really do look different in the store sometimes. And usually bigger is better, like with rugs, artwork, lamps, like even things like decor that you have out. A lot of times you need it to be bigger than you think.
How do you have lamps with
bigger,
a 2-year-old?
Oh, I don't know. We don't have any table lamps.
I see one right there.
Yeah. So we have like our first floor is very open, and we basically have like half of it separated off with a gate. So he doesn't run into this side of the house very often. And when he does, I'm with him, but he doesn't have like free reign of the whole house.
Yeah, my kids throw balls, so we don't have anything breakable. Because it would just...
I don't blame you. Maybe I'm just not there yet.
Or you could put that museum putty on everything so it doesn't fall over.
I did I did that for Christmas, because I had these Studio Mickey. My sister used to work for Studio Mickey, so she got me these like marble stocking hooks, and I put the museum wax. She was 18 months old.
She's strong.
She's strong, and right onto the tile, and it cracked it. So I was like, cool.
Oh man,
can't have nice things with toddlers.
Okay, another listener submitted question is about decision fatigue, which I think is so real. So what do you think is the relationship between decision fatigue and minimalism and like routines?
Well, I feel like setting up routines helps with the decision fatigue because you don't have to think about what you're doing. You just hopefully do it. If you can set up the routine and make it into a habit, it kind of like pre-decides what you're going to do. Like I'm trying right now. Cleaning is not my strong suit at all, but I'm trying to create a cleaning routine because part of it, the decision fatigue, it's like when I have time to clean, I'm like, what do I clean? So I tried to kind of come up with like a schedule so that I know what to do each day and I don't have to spend time thinking about it. But yeah, I feel like I said, having less overall things in your house helps your mental load and overwhelm, which can then kind of help the decision fatigue too.
I agree. As someone who has all of her routines in her phone, I don't have to think about it until it pops up. Yes. I'm like, oh, okay, exactly. I need to clean the fridge coils. Perfect.
Yeah.
How can I navigate social situations where minimalism might seem unconventional, especially when it comes to gift giving or socializing? What do you think about that?
That's such a good question.
Yeah.
Especially with gift giving, we haven't encountered that a lot, and our families are really good about like taking what we ask for, especially like now that we have kids and are doing birthdays and all kinds of things like that. I feel like, I mean, there are a lot of experience gifts that you can do and ask for now, like a membership to a local zoo or something like that. I feel like just giving some boundaries and like guidelines for what you guys would use, like if you have certain things that you actually need that you would get anyway, maybe asking for those. And then if they don't follow those, that's kind of on them. Like, you have to do what you have to do, and accepting the gift. You don't have to feel like you have to keep it if it's not what you need and you ask them to get you something else. You just kind of have to do what's best for you and try to like give a little bit of guidance. But if they don't follow that, that's on them.
You can still be appreciative, but
yes,
then be like, this doesn't serve me.
Yeah.
Get rid of it.
This year for Christmas with my siblings, the rule was you had to re-gift something you already had. And we all got awesome gifts. Like, I got a cast iron skillet. I gave my sister-in-law perfume. Like, it actually was a really great way to get rid of stuff.
I love that.
That's so smart.
And it was more than any of us could afford to, like, give each other. You know, I don't know. Kind of related, kind of not. Okay, so we kind of talked about this, but I'm really curious to know what your advice is. So this person said, I have a lot of clothes I might wear someday. What are strategies to help me let go and create more a functional wardrobe? I think changing bodies, being a woman, our bodies change a lot. We are like literally chameleons, shapeshifters. So what's your advice and experience with that?
I had no idea what to expect, but the whole like pregnancy to postpartum cycle with clothes is wild. And it's really hard to figure out because it's like you need totally separate wardrobes and you don't necessarily want to get rid of things. And I feel like even just going through it the first time, now the second time, there's a lot that I've learned that I've changed this time, because also your style changes and maybe what in your lifestyle changes. So maybe like the last time I was pregnant, I was still working in an office every day. And so the clothes that I had didn't really work for my maternity clothes this time. So holding on to what you might use one day is so hard, and sometimes you will use it again and sometimes you won't. So I kind of lean on the side of not keeping it. From what I've learned last time, like I have a whole bag of maternity clothes that I'm gonna give to a friend that I used last time, and I spent so much money on that I'm not, like, it's only 2 years later and I'm not even using them again. So this time I really leaned into like Amazon stuff and a lot of cheaper options, because I just knew even if I have another baby later, I may not want the same maternity clothes. It might be a different season, like you have no idea. So keeping some like basic things that you are likely to use, or keeping them if you have storage. Like I kept everything, and now I'm going through it to see what I want to keep and what I don't. So if you have the storage available, there's no harm in keeping it and then deciding to let go of it later and give it to a friend or donate it. But oh my gosh, the cycle of the changing clothes. It's like you need maternity clothes and you need postpartum clothes that are a totally different size than your pre-pregnancy clothes. It's just crazy. It's really, really hard to navigate.
Yeah, and there's that sunk cost fallacy where it's like, well, I invested so much money in it, I need to hold on to it, when it might not actually be serving you. Like, even if you did make the investment, it's better just get rid of it. The money's already spent. It's okay. I mean, try to resell if you can, if you have the motivation to do so, but it's okay to just let it go.
Yeah, and I think it's important to point out that like our items talk to us. You know, like seeing a size 6 pants in your closet, if you're a size 12 right now, like those pants are going to talk to you and say, you're too fat, you know, like whatever. It's going to say mean things to you in your mind, right? It's going to trigger those thoughts. And so what's helpful for me is like just keeping the clothes that fit me in my closet. And then if I'm going to save stuff, keeping those in a bin somewhere else.
Yes, I did the same thing. And you don't want to walk into your closet and constantly see all this stuff that like you wish you could wear, but you can't, or it doesn't fit you. And so, yeah, even with the changing seasons, I always keep only what I'm currently wearing in my closet and everything else in storage, which not everybody has like the storage space to do, but I agree.
Okay, last question. How can I tackle the clutter that accumulates in, let's say, the beauty cabinet?
I would say I used to be such a beauty junkie and like hair not necessarily makeup, but like hair and skincare are like really big. And I actually worked at a beauty supply store in college and like spent everything I made there. Like I had so many different things. But what really helped me the most was deciding on a really simple routine and narrowing down the products that like actually make a difference. And maybe that's just the season of life I'm in too, but at a certain point I decided that I just need a very simple routine and everything else I'm letting go of. And that was super helpful because you can have a ton of options, but if you're not really using them or they're just not necessary, they're just adding to that like space and mental load in your bathroom. So what helped me was setting up a specific simple routine and getting rid of everything else.
Yeah. Well, and beauty stuff goes bad really fast.
It does, yes. It expires most in a year and some like 6 months. So if you have all of these old things or sample items, that's another big one that I feel like everybody has these little samples that they keep just in case or when they travel and they almost never use them. So eventually I got rid of all of those.
Yeah, that was me. I now force myself to use the samples like right then or I throw it away.
Yeah. And I think it's important to like point out, and I think Dawn the Middle Mom talks about this, but owning the items isn't going to like change your skin or your hair. It's using the items that will. So if you're not using it, then it's not giving you the goal. Like, it's not like, what am I saying? It's not solving the problem that you have if you're not actually using it.
It's so true.
Yeah.
And I found like I would keep a lot of things. Another example of like you get better at it and you do have to like revisit areas, because a lot of times I kept things like face masks and things like that I am like, oh, but I like them. But if I haven't used it since the last time I decluttered my bathroom, it's gone. So sometimes it's helpful to like revisit it in 3 months or every 6 months and see if you've actually used it.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I've had to tell myself to, at times too, to like stop searching for something better, like mascara. Like I try to use like clean beauty products and like avoid, certain ingredients and stuff, but every like clean mascara I've tried sucks. So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to stick with the gold Maybelline and not, I've been using it since high school and I know it works, and it works well with, I don't know, my eyelashes, I guess. And just to stop searching for new ones, because then I always have a second or third mascara in my drawer that I don't use, but I spend a lot of money on, whatever. So I'm like, I had to cut myself off. I'm like, no, I'm just committing to this mascara for the rest of my life.
Such a good point.
Yeah. I bought, or for Christmas, not this last year, but the year before, I got what's it called when the needles go in your face? I got a micro needling pen. I wanted it so bad. Have not opened the package. But it's still there, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to use it. I'm not going to use it.
That is the hard part with like tools. Like I used to have a steamer. I have all kinds of stuff. It's like Chelsea said, if you don't use it, it's not helping you.
Yep.
So
I'll list it on Mercari. I'm going to do that. All right. Well, thank you so much, Elizabeth. This has been so fun.
Thank you guys. I had so much fun talking to you.
I learned so much.
Like we could talk about all this forever.
Oh, we could, and we'll probably talk about it again. I'm feeling another episode in the future.
Yes. I think it would be really fun to talk to you too about being a working mom too, because I'm sure you have a lot of expertise to share about that.
Being a working mom, sharing on social media, balancing it all.
You're just a cool lady.
It is a balance.
Where can people find you? And you have a course, right?
I do. I'm not really promoting it right now, but I do have a course, and I feel like, especially with a newborn coming, probably I'll be mostly on Instagram, and you can find me at Simply Elizabeth V. So I share there, but I do have some resources. Like I said, the master decluttering checklist I can give you guys to put in the show notes. I have a couple other guides too that you can get on there. But yeah, I would love to see you over there.
That's awesome.
Everyone go check her out.
Yeah, and you're so fun to follow on Instagram too.
Well, you guys.
We were saying you're such like a calm like presence and just refreshing. Like I don't feel overstimulated or feel like I'm in competition, except for the fact that your house looks nicer than mine. It's just like that's something I aspire to in a healthy way, not in a jealous, competitive way.
Maybe once we read the Nester or the Cozy Minimalist Home, maybe we'll master the
I'm telling you guys, she's the best. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I hope you have a good night.
Thank you guys. You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of She Would Know.
If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please subscribe and leave a rating and review.
We would love to hear from you. If you have suggestions for topics and experts you would like to listen to in the future, drop a line in the comments or send us a message on social media.
To stay up to date with She Would Know and get all the behind-the-scenes content, follow us on Instagram and TikTok at shewouldknow.podcast.
Don't forget to stay curious, and we'll see you next week for a new episode.